This JFR race. Here we are going to Russia, as we can see here. This is round 2 of season 3 for JFR. This is my first time here doing commentary for this league. Very excited to get started with them. If you can bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to get the league shared out to all the various places it needs to be. And then we'll be ready to get straight into it. We do have a short qualifying followed by a 50% race. Should be a good one. I believe the field is quite close here. Obviously we will find out once we get into the first qualifying runs. And then loading in. I believe I saw 13 drivers today, so you can see there on the left we do have 13. Looks like we have a driver, at least one driver from each team. Don't believe I'm seeing too many colours missing there. Crossfire as usual then in that yellow and black Renault. As we can see Crossfire leaving, we can also see one of the Alpha Tauris leaving just in front of them. You can see Spicy Llama then is going to attempt this first lap on that medium compound of tyre. And just to see how high up the grid he can go on that tyre. And who is first on the track? It is the Racing Point of Ewok Baboon J. So we'll just watch him. As he'll be the first car to set his lap time. Some cars just going to wait in the pits that bit longer. Currently have 6 cars out on track. Both fast cars running together. Probably try and slipstream down that very long run towards turn 2. Let's see, quite a cool helmet there for the Racing Point driver. One of the definitely one of the most unique designs we have. Goes then, starts his lap, comes through that final corner. One of the only tracks here in Russia where you open where you're not in DRS as you cross the line. As then to turn 2, keeps it on the track. It's very easy to extend as you run through the start of turn 3, just the exit on that 90-degree right-hander. Can be very easy to just run that little bit wide and head off the track, invalidating it. A couple of drivers still in the pits at this stage. As expected, he goes purple for sector 1, he's the only car so far. Right on board with Jaden, comes from the middle sector. Cuts the curb nicely through the right-hander. Tap on the brakes through the left-hander, using all the track on the exit. Chooses not quite to use all of it. Into another 90-degree corner, many of them at this track. It's a little bit squirmy on the power towards the exit. Manage it to hold it together, running down the straight. DRS is up again, a really long straight, then down into the braking zone of turn 13. Possibly the slowest corner on the track there. To the left of 14, there's a Rebel just ahead of him. He has seen him, so he'll let him through nicely. I'm coming through one of the most awkward and difficult sectors on the calendar. It's very easy to make a mistake here, run wide, cut a corner. Comes through the final corner. He's done managed to do a clean lap here, does a 1:31.2. Sets provisional pace as we see the second of the lead AlphaTauri of unknown there goes second, 2 seconds off the pace. As I said, I'm not entirely sure how close this field is. So for all I know, that could be the second fastest car. I have absolutely no idea. So we then see YouTube Meridian. I believe that's how you pronounce that, I'm not too sure. But he has gone 8 thousandths of a second slower than Jay. Very strong at the top then. Looking further back, we can see that... I wouldn't have a clue how to pronounce that. Is that Flaky or Flakel Gaming? Coming down to 13. He hasn't validated this lap though, so will not be setting the times that much. As we see Ter Arps, I'm going to say that is, who's gone up into P3. Looking further down, who else on a lap, we can see Breakfast King there going across the line up into P5. 2.1 seconds off, so he'll be looking to go again later in this session. So we see the other AlphaTauri cross the line, but he did invalidate his lap earlier on, so that won't mean anything. We see Spicy Llama is also on his lap. The Bear was that way invalidated, does pull into the pit lane. We can see the Mercedes, he's on his end lap, so that won't matter too much. Both Haas cars, how have they done? P3 for one, and Luke Flano is down at the back. They were running together, so my guess is that he either invalidated the first lap or he was just helping his teammate. Gave him a tow down towards turn number 2. Is still pushing on this lap. He comes through this final sector, off carb or off camber left-hander. Switching back into the right. Back on the pan nicely, using all the curb on the exit, still using all of that road coming down into the penultimate corner. Has kept it nice and tightly, brakes, turns in for this final corner. Crosses line, goes P4. Strong up there from Luke in that second place Haas car. Just see the other one pulling into the pit lane. Looking further down, the AlphaTauri has gone for his second lap. It's again coming through this final sector. All drivers seem to be quite well spaced out at this point. Just getting to see all the drivers as they take on this final sector. On the break, the final corner comes across the line, then goes up into P5, beats his teammate by 2 thousandths of a second. Very competitive there, the AlphaTauri duo. You see Crossfire now coming through that final corner. That's to start his lap. Got a very neat line there, so he just finished his out lap. We can see the second racing point. His teammate of Jay is still currently on provisional pole position, with CS then down in 9th at the moment. Second driver placed to not set a lap time. Coming through this middle part of the lap. Runs the car out using all the track through turn 11, I believe that is. That's our last right-hander. Went down heavy on the brakes around the 120 mark. Actually, the car turned in. Very off-camber section here. It can be extremely difficult to get the lap hooked up. Not using as much of the track as other drivers have, but that's just driver preference. Some drivers don't like to use it. Then comes through the final corner, crosses the line, and doesn't set a lap, so I once again may have been an out lap. As you can see, Crossfire has invalidated his lap. Looks like Spicy Llama has gone for a second lap on those medium compounded tyres. And Pilot Plane still remains in the pit lane, yet to set a lap time. Stay on board with Abood now, or Aboud. Currently sitting in P10, yet to set a lap on those soft tyres. And coming through this middle sector, you can see his teammate just up the road ahead of him. Also on to start a lap, so actually riding board with his teammate as he is close to the line. He has actually invalidated his lap, so that won't matter too much as he just stops it a little bit. Not sure what's going on quite there, but we'll go back to his teammate. I do believe our current championship leader here in JFR. See then Nitrous getting right out the way of his teammate. Abood then coming through the penultimate corner, uses all the exit curb between those final two, comes across the line, goes P4, 3 tenths off of pole position. And further down we can see Chris on his lap end just coming through the first sector in the lone Alfa Romeo for this race. Runs a little bit wide, however, out of turn 5 and validates his lap. So our lap then for the lone Williams. Spicy Llama giving it that second go on the medium compound tyres and validated his first lap. Did come into the pits to put on a fresh set of medium by the looks of things. So coming through this final sector, in through the final corner. Keeps it nice and tidy across the line, goes up to P9. As we also see Crossfire on his outlap for that medium tyre. Just 2 drivers attempting that medium strategy. Currently sitting in 9th and 10th. Medium tyre, however, clearly not doing the driver any favours. He's 3 tenths off the back on the harder compound. You would almost expect that, as you have less grip on that tyre. He does invalidate this lap, but that shouldn't matter too much, as I believe the Ferrari has gone for it again. He has also invalidated his lap. His teammate then repaying the favour of getting out of the way. There is, however, a Haas car that looks to also be on his flying lap. As the Ferrari pulls into the pits, we can see the Haas has also invalidated his lap, but it is his out lap, so it doesn't matter. Comes across the line to start his second flying lap, currently sitting in P6. Top 3 drivers as it stands, covered by just over 1/10 of a second. As Luke down in P6, as it currently stands, runs a little bit wide on the exit of turn 2, but gets away with it. And through this very long left-hander of turn 3 on the brakes into turn 4. Using all the track that's available to him. Down through 5, all nice and tidy so far. A little kink of turn 6. Using all the track into the entry for turn 7. For one of the fast corners on the track at turn 8. Coming into the right-hander of 9 then. DRS coming up, has plenty of battery left, may run out slightly. As you can see that little green bar in that bottom right corner, depleting very quickly as the drivers are in hot lap mode. In terms of overall battery, he should be absolutely fine. As I do believe Baboon J has gone even faster at the top, extending what was an 0.008 of a second gap to almost half a second. A very strong lap from that lead Racing Point car. His teammate still yet to set a lap, as Luke invalidates his lap going through the penultimate corner. He does do a 1:33.1 in the end. I'm not sure where that would have put him. Look further down, Pilot Plane then going up into 2nd place, beating out YouTube Meridian by only 0.06 of a second. And the Racing Point driver then coming through the end of that first sector. You can see the Renault behind him. That is not Crossfire. Crossfire then goes deep into turn 1. Here's on his out lap, that won't affect him too much. Medium tyre clearly didn't work out for the Renault driver, as he's opted to do his, what would be his final run on the soft tyre. I don't believe he'll manage to set this lap time and then get back into the pits for another run. Towards the back of the grid, the second Mercedes, BLK Stig, currently sitting down in 15th position at number 77 Mercedes. opens the DRS. This is his first run, I believe. It's the first time he's left the pits. However, this lap has taken him 5 minutes, so I'm not entirely sure what's happened there. He's flying through this final sector. Yellow flags ahead and one of the Renaults just preparing for their lap. I believe that is Crossfire. Stig then comes across to start will be his one and only qualifying lap of the session. You can see Nitrous yet again on an invalidated lap. Some of these drivers are not quite managing to keep their car between the white lines on either side of this racetrack. Crossfire and the number 2 Renault coming through the first couple of corners. I am familiar with the pace of Crossfire. I have raced them a couple times. That invalidating his lap there will not be what the Renault man wants. So it looks like he will be, unless he can get around quick enough. He's already saving his ERS. Absolutely cutting all the corners to try and make it back around in time. You can see Stig has gone purple in through that middle sector. We may still see a challenge here to Baboon J's current provisional pole lap time. So he gets the car hugged up very nicely through those horrible couple of corners. Come through this final part of the lap. Will he keep it on the track there? He does, stays well away from the curb. Through that final corner, crosses the line and only goes P8. Clearly that very strong middle sector wasn't quite enough. May have made a mistake through the first or final sectors. I didn't see anything wrong with his final sector, so it must have been misjudgment somewhere at the first sector. A little further down we can see Crossfire has decided to park it in the pit entry. By the looks of things there, he has either tried to pit and messed it up as he will cross the line. Looks like his front wing was broken ever so slightly. He will start a lap, but I don't believe he's at any speed. You can see Breakfast King, his teammate, that in the 34 Renault on his flying lap, but has also invalidated it. The second Ferrari then on, I think this is his 3rd or 4th attempt. He's managed to get to the end of the second sector, keeping his lap valid so far. So it is an improvement for Nitrous Davy, clearly struggling. Also goes purple through that middle sector. So there is a chance then that Baboon J's middle sector just wasn't that strong. And he nailed both first and the third sectors. But Nitrous Davy then has invalidated his lap in that final sector. I don't blame the drivers for running wide so long. It is very difficult to keep the car on the track around here. But the Ferrari driver will get another lap. He may very well run out of ERS before this lap is over, so we'll have to use that very tactically. But you can see Chris then coming down through turn 7. One of the Mercedes getting out of it through turn 3, letting a couple of cars past him. Still 4/10 gap between P1 and P2. Top 3 are also still covered by half a second. As the time expires then for this Russian Grand Prix qualifying session, we see Abub, the best he could do was P5. 6/10 off pole, not a bad lap there. As Spicy Llama did opt for that soft tyre for his final run and gets himself up into P8. Baboon J then pulls into the pit lane, clearly happy with the lap he has done. Unknown stays 4th. Chris comes along across the line and sets the time and puts him in P12. It's also here for Crossfire, who has retired from the session. That would have been his choice. I don't believe there was any damage or crash for that incident. You can see Pilot Plane goes very close to Baboon J's lap time, but not managing to set the lap time. If we have a look around, we can see a Mercedes. And for the final second, back end stepping right out of the way. Looks like he's pulling into the pit lane, not full throttle. We'll just cross the line to help end the session quickly. You can see the Haas then also pulling into the pits. And then that will be it for this qualifying session. Round 2 of Season 3 of the JFR League here in Sochi. Baboon J will take pole position in that racing point ahead of Pilot Plane in the Williams. Very tight at the end, the gap less than a tenth. So you've seen that Meriden got a much better lap in, gaining about 0.3 of a second. So now we hope these other 3 drivers retire from the session to save us waiting a bit of a time here. 3 drivers pulled into the pits instead of retiring, so there we go, one of them. Actually both of the racing points now. Both of them are in the pit lane. Just running through the grid then. We can see Baboon J is on pole up by 0.08 of a second from Pilot Plane. YouTube Meriden then in third, completing the second row is unknown. Third row is Aboud ahead of Ter Arps. The second racing point of CS is on the 4th row with Spicy Llama in that Red Bull. 5th row of the grid, Nitrous Davy, and again, I'm not sure if that's an I or an L, my screen doesn't give me the best resolution. Either Flaky or Flakle Gaming P10 and the Alpha Tauri. BLK Stig and Breakfast King will be on that 6th row of the grid in the Mercedes and the Renault. And then below them, the bottom 3 cars will be Luke Flano in the Haas ahead of its Chris 05 in the Alfa Romeo, and Crossfire Strikes unfortunately not managing to set a lap time at one of the hardest tracks for track limits. See, still quite very compact grid still. The top 7 covered by a second, going down to the top 13 covered by 2 seconds. Quite a few drivers who could still win this race. Qualifying doesn't matter anywhere near as much as it possibly could. No points for qualifying, however 26 points are available for the race winner as long as they get that fastest lap. And then as we wait for the drivers to select their strategy, sort out their fuel, I do believe a one stop is very easy to pull off here, as if you take your minds back to 2014, the first ever Sochi race here in Russia, where we had, I believe, Nico Rosberg getting damage on that lap 1, pitting for the hardest compound at the time, and then proceeded to do around, I think, 52 or 53 laps on that tyre. So a one stop here is very much possible. Wait for a couple more drivers to sort out their strategy, and then we will be loading into the grid. It can be that little bit of a nuisance here for drivers who have got teammates. So if we do see rain at some point, I don't think we do. I believe the session is set for overcast, so won't we see any double stacking for intermediate compound of tyres. However, if some of these teammates don't communicate, they may very well find themselves pitting at the same time, mostly causing whoever is second in that queue of 2 to lose plenty of time. Just that the lobby's taking that little bit of time here just to load everybody in and onto the grid. It's the only reason I can think of as to why the long wait before we load in here. A couple drivers in the Discord are saying to restart the session, so it's not just happening on my end. I do believe that the lobby has just crashed. And I think we are going to rehost the lobby here. Bear with me 1 second. Well, as we're loading to a grid now. Drivers have pulled away. I'm not sure if anyone is still in the session. I'm not entirely sure who is left here. You can see... yeah, AWR are restarting, so the drivers have all left the session. Okay, so bear with us 1 second. Whilst we get the new lobby all sorted. Okay then, we are back after a short break just to rehost the lobby. We're jumping straight into the race, so the qualifying from earlier on in the stream will remain the grid order. I do believe we may have had an extra driver join us. So just a quick name check someone in the Discord. Is it Merigin? Is that right in saying that? Right then, anyway, loading in to this race. The list does look longer. Arcades, so JS Island, Marine. Is that right? There we go, session starting in just over 20 seconds. Get underway for this race. Just 10 seconds to go. Hopefully the lobby will work this time. Right then, people have loaded in and we have gotten further than last time. There we go, 5 load lights do come on. And it is away we go then. New York Babylon J looks to have gotten a strong start from the line. The Mercedes of Marine getting almost past there by Unknown, and the Alpha Tauri coming all the way down to turn 2. One of the Haas cars, the Blue Plano, has not gotten off the line. As we do see a spin in the background, I think that was Breakfast King there, not quite making it down to turn 2 in one piece. As Luke gets disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. Mercedes has taken the lead down on the run to turn 4. As we see the Alpha Tauri going up the inside of the Ferrari. Fairly clean start for most of our drivers. Looks like a couple of them may have been caught up in incidents. Chris's incident, I believe I saw him spinning in the background, seems to have gotten away with it. Maybe just netcode from my end. So you see the drivers then coming through this, well, down the back straight for the first time. Merin leads Jay ahead of Unknown and Abdud. They come down into the braking zone to turn 13. Looks like Nitrous has gotten past Spicy Llama on the way down to the braking zone. But a little bit slidey there from Jay in that second placed racing point. One of the Red Bulls, Spicy Llama, after making that overtake or getting past, he has he spun on the exit of turn 14. As there's an incident as well further back between a couple of the cars. Looks like they've all gotten away with it. Fastest lap for the leader as it stands at the end of the first lap. Everyone there seemed to making it through cleanly. I don't believe there's any front wing damage from our leaders. As you see, the Red Bull has dropped back. That's just that little bit. All the cars coming down as Jay already gets a 3-second time penalty at the start of the second lap. Clearly pushing very hard in that pink racing car to close back up to the lead he lost on the run down to the turn 2. Spicy Llama then also picking up the 3-second time penalty, as well as BLK Stig. As a gap has formed, we have a couple of our leaders, a couple of the midfield, and then it looks like the McLaren, who didn't qualify, so former Barland, just having a little train. As one of the Ferraris looks to have gone a little bit slow through that middle sector. 1 second lead then. Marine leads from Jay. Lap 2 of 27 here for the race. I'll look further down as the drivers come down the straight. See if there are any battles. Doesn't look like there's any battles at this moment in time. All drivers already starting to settle into the race. Long way to go. And then this is one of the trickiest tracks in terms of some of its corners. staying on the track can be difficult. We see Crossfire very close to the back as we see Llama going up the inside of Breakfast King into turn 15. The move did look clean enough. We can see a battle then for second almost. Unknown just a little bit too far behind. Coming to the braking zone of turn 2, looking a little bit further down. All drivers coming through single file. Doesn't seem like anyone as the McLaren there goes straight across that little kink. That is the entry for turn 3. Not really any fights going on as it currently stands. So look at the position changes from the start. Marine has gained 2 positions from the start. Starting down in P3, got Pilot Plane off the line by the looks of things. A slow start from that Williams driver. He was jumping, and then Marine jumping his Mercedes up 2 positions into the lead. The Boom J then has lost 1 position as we see Former Barland getting a 3-second time penalty. Unknown gained 1 position at that start. As previously mentioned, Pilot Plane lost 2. Abood then, as well as Arps and CS, all maintaining positions from the start. It's one of the cars then Unknown seems to have spun. Or grazed the wall, he's done something there, lost just a little bit of time. So we see the second AlphaTauri getting his first penalty of the race. Battle for the lead coming down into turn 2. Again, the Boon J not quite close enough. Looks like I've gotten a run, however. Out of turn 2, through the long sweeping left-hander of turn 3. Stays behind them as we see Nitrous getting a time penalty. Looking back down further then we can see that Stig has gained 3 positions, Nitrous has maintained. Former Barland, he was not here for qualifying. Joined in for the race, gained 6 positions from the start, so good start from him. Crest gaining 3 as well as Crossfire gaining 3. Spicy Llama dropping 4. Flake, I'm going to assume that's an I there, I'm not too sure. So Flaky Gaming dropping 4 positions, and then Breakfast King dropping 3. So we cut back to right as there's a change for the lead. The Boom J getting up the inside, around the inside of turn 12, which is turned to the outside for the braking zone. Just sweeps around the outside of Marine in that Mercedes, reclaiming his position that he earned during that 18-minute qualifying session we had earlier on. These two are already starting to gap the rest of the field. Pilot Plane did manage to gain 1 extra position after the mistake from Unknown at the end of the last lap. Down, we've just started lap 5 of 27 for this JFR race. This is round 2 of season 3, and we are at the Sochi Autodrome here in Russia, as I believe Marine got back past the racing point down into turn 2. Didn't quite catch it on my own eyes, but we were watching them, so you would have seen it on the stream as Jay then gets his, I believe that's his 2nd penalty of the race. Already 6 seconds then onto his tally. Back onto tyres, Breakfast King the only driver to start on the medium compound tyre. Everyone else going for that soft tyre. See a bit further back, Arps getting past Abood for P4. And another change for the lead then. Jay getting back past Marine into turn 13. Same pace did it 1 lap ago. Marine we're looking to repeat what he did 1 lap ago, going down into turn 2. Open up the telemetry for the driver. We saw the fuel icon flash very quickly then, so he'll be looking to use as much fuel as the AlphaTauri does retire from the session. looks to have lost the car through turn 14. Jay weaving a little bit down the straight. Boomerang goes to the inside, down into turn 2. Later on the brakes, gets the car turned in. However, Jay has got on the inside line for turn 3, just forcing the Mercedes a little bit wider. Wouldn't quite want to be out there. Get out on the, not quite gravel, but onto the rubber. Former bar line, then getting, I think it's his second penalty of the race in the lone McLaren here in Sochi. Breakfast King has dropped nearly 6 seconds off the back of the pack now. Not sure if the Renault driver has any ring damage or if he's just struggling on the harder compound. If we have a look of him briefly, to have a look at that front wing, he has all of his front wing, so clearly the medium tyre is not quite doing the justice compared to that soft tyre. No overtakes down to turn 13. This time around, Jay getting a better exit out of turn 9 or turn 10. Managing to hold on. They're not pulling away as quickly as they were early on in the race. Still 2 seconds back to Pilot Plane, sorry. In that Williams, the lone Williams today. So he'll definitely be looking to help out his team in the Constructors' Championship as we move forward. You see coming down into turn 2. Mercedes does a little fake to the inside as we see former Barland speed into the pit lane, gaining that 5-second time penalty. Crossfire Strikes also comes into the pits after 6 laps on those soft compound tyres. Crossfire will be definitely looking to run a lot further into this race. Oh, sorry, we have Breakfast King looking to go further into this. Crossfire pits then for the hard compound tyre. He'll definitely be going to the end, unless we get a safety car come out later in the race. Former Barland then going onto the medium compound again, may be able to stretch this out to the race. We've got 20 laps to go at the end of this one. We'll just stay watching this battle for the lead for now. It looks like CS is catching the back of Abood, our current championship leader, one last time out. Chris then gets, I think that's his first time penalty of the race, I'm not entirely sure. You see Luke then eventually leaving the session after his disqualification from the start-finish line. A little lower down, we have a three-way battle for 4th. Tet Arps then holding up the Ferrari a little bit. Spicy Lama gets a 3-second time penalty. No one else seems to be tempted to come into the pit lane quite yet. See, I don't believe anything will be happening down into turn 1 with the leaders. They look far enough apart on the map. Actually, as I say that, they get a little bit closer. That's just breaking into the brake zone. We see no change for P4 then. Yellow flags come up briefly as there is the racing point then. Jay, who was leading the race, has lost it on the exit of turn 2, drops all the way down to P6. Here on lap 8 of 27 for the Sochi race, or Russian Grand Prix if you would prefer that. So now Merin does lead by 2.2 seconds over Pilot Plane, and it's a podium for the lead Hash driver. Actually the sole remaining Hash driver after Luke got disqualified for not moving on the start line. So we have a 3-place battle now for the podium. Top 2 look pretty set at the moment as Nitrous gets a 3-second time penalty and Unknown gets, I think that's maybe his 3rd or 2nd penalty of the race. You can see Breakfast King now 8 seconds behind Spicy Llama. However, looking to up that pace slightly as we speak of him, he does get a 3-second time penalty. He'll definitely be looking to close up a little bit as the soft tyres start to degrade. Pilot Plane now really closing in on that leader, as he gets a 3-second time penalty, pushing a little bit too hard through the final corner, but now 1.6 seconds separate the top 2. 3 seconds back to P3. However, 3rd, 4th and 5th are almost covered by 1 second. We're on board with the racing point coming down into turn 2 is a little bit too far back to try anything at this moment. We see an overtake further down as Baboon J pits. Must have broken his front wing during that spin earlier on in the race. Goes into the medium commander tyre, so we'll definitely be looking trying to get to the end. It looks to one of the, I think that's Chris that stopped. I'm not sure what's happened there entirely. Safety car is deployed on lap 9 here. Leaders will definitely come into the pits now, as I don't know if there was contact with another car then or if he managed to lose it all by himself, but Chris has broken his front wing. Stig also getting a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. That will hamper his strategy ever so slightly as Crossfire comes back into the pits. Safety car waiting then just as you start to go through turn 3. I would imagine most cars will come into the pits at the end of this lap. Obviously Crossfire will definitely be getting a jump on the rest of the field, as he managed to come in early. He might be a little bit too far back to be able to capitalise though. See him overtake the safety car as he is allowed, and we do see our leader come into the pit. Second place also in. Third, fourth and fifth also following suit. Look back to Stig then, who comes to the pits. But I imagine everyone on the soft tyre. Some of the medium runners may well stay out. See Nitrous following in, Unknown also coming in. Spicy Llama following in. He did try that medium strategy in qualifying, didn't quite work out for him, started on the soft compound. Look back now, our lead medium runner, he also comes into the pits. Though I think that's to serve the drive-through, I do believe that he was given. Cress will have to come into the pits. You're quite lucky that his incident did cause that safety car. Obviously you never want to be the cause of a safety car, but he will be happy that the safety car did come out from his incident, so he doesn't lose too much time going back to the pits and changing that front wing. So our leaders stay as they are. Marine from Pilot Plane and to Arps. Top 5 has all stayed the same, top 6. Don't believe any position changes will happen. Obviously Jay pitting 1 lap ago did drop down, I believe 6th on track, but has dropped further to that pit stop. Crossfire then not quite gaining as he would have wanted. Still at the back of the queue, but he will definitely have his chance to catch up, as Nitrous gets a time penalty for multiple warnings under the safety car. He'll be kicking himself for that one. Only 3 drivers on their hard compound then. They will definitely make it to the end of this race. Obviously only 17 laps remaining at the end of this one. The medium tyre may well go to the end as well. They might have to do a little bit of tyre saving. However, Breakfast King on that soft tyre will be definitely looking to push as hard as he can at the restart. As he's on a softer tyre, he will definitely have to come into the pits again. The soft tyre will not do 17 laps. As we can see, Chris and Crossfire still waiting to join the back of the safety car queue. So Chris, the cause of that safety car, didn't retire, so that's I guess one positive takeaway from it. Did lose quite a few positions. I do think he was running in the points when that happened. Dropped down to 13. That stands only 14 drivers remaining. We've had Luke, who got disqualified from not moving at the start of the race. And then we've got Flaky, who retired due to making a mistake through turn 14, I do believe. Didn't quite catch it, but I saw the stationary dot on the mini-map. Must have got on the power too early and crashed as we look just an overtake then. Not entirely sure what happened there. Clearly Breakfast King just pushing a little bit too hard under safety cars. We have seen another overtake then. Not sure why the drivers are overtaking each other. Safety car should come in at the end of this lap. Give us 16 laps to push as hard as we can to the end. Whilst we are under safety car, I'm just going to check incidents, have a look at the penalties that were given. See there, Jay's got one, Llama has one. Stig as well as Unknown. A lot more warnings. Former Barland, Flaky Evan, the Irishman, and the AlphaTauri. Then 3 second time penalty that won't affect him as he is retired from this race. Nitrous has one. Jay has a second one. Abood then getting a second one for the AlphaTauri driver, who has of course retired. Former Barland, that's 6 seconds for him. Crossfire Strikes has a penalty. 5 seconds as well for the McLaren driver for speeding a little bit in the pit lane. Chris has a penalty as well as Llama has another one. Nitrous, I think that's his second. Unknown there with a second. Breakfast King with one as well. So look, where are we on the track? That's coming down to turn 13. So we'll be able to see if the safety car is coming. Actually no, not quite yet. Not quite as far around as I thought we were. So briefly to be able to catch up the bottom of those incidents. Not sure how far we got down, I think it was just about here. As we can see, Llama there with another penalty. Nitrous with one, Unknown with another one. So this race will more than likely definitely be decided on penalties, as the safety car does seem to be coming in this lap, and it is. We're actually riding on board with the second placed car. Go on board the pilot plane in the Williams there. All drivers will be weaving frantically, try and get as much heat into their tyres as they can. The safety car is into the pit lane, so Mehran can go whenever he wants. Normally decided to bolt, still weaving, using the entire track to get as much heat into tyres. He's going to bolt just before the final corner. Cut back to the exterior shot, all drivers coming through. Red Bull running very wide, swerving back across the track. Mehran does seem to have gotten the jump on the Williams. Look further down, one of the AlphaTauris weaving quite a bit. Top 6 get through fine. Lock up there from Stig in that second Mercedes. That will put him under pressure from Unknown, who does go to the inside, coming through the long left-hander of turn 3. Looks like he has pulled that move off as they come into the braking zones for turn 4. The Mercedes manages to hold it all the way around the outside. See Crossfire getting past Chris at the back. These two still going absolute wheel to wheel. 1 second gap already for Mehran in the lead. Another second back to Arps in third place. Very close between Tarps and Abood still. Even more 3 second time penalties are being brought in. See, once again, this battle for that final step on the podium is going to run all the way to the line at this point. So we can see the Ferrari getting up the inside into 12. That does change to the outside for 13. The Haas goes a little bit deep. The Ferrari going around the outside of 14 looks to have pulled the move off all the way around the outside. The Haas then on that harder compounder tyre will hold it to the inside, however he does lose out on the right-hander switchback. Going very defensive then to the penultimate corner. I believe turn 17, very short straight down towards turn 18. And Abood then has taken that final step on the podium, goes defensive instantly as exits the final corner. We'll go back with the Haas car, looks to have lost out a little bit of time. The Racing Point, however, in P5 looking to gain a position as well. Moves to the inside, looks to have already got that move done. Obviously on the soft tyre will be able to brake later down into turn 2. Gets past him as well, so that's Tarps losing 2 positions. It's like the Ferrari of Nitrous looking to get involved as well. They're down in P6, the Haas runs a little bit wide. See both of these drivers and the AlphaTauri of Unknown behind, all on the hard compounder tyre. Stig pulls into the pits then, most of broken his front wing at the start. Unknown gets past Nitrous. Nitrous was looking for a move against Tarps in the Haas, didn't work out. Ferrari ended up losing a position to the AlphaTauri. Pilot plane then is staying with our leader, as we see Nitrous there going off the track again. Gap is still 1 second, so the Mercedes had a very strong restart. As the McLaren gets yet another penalty for this race, running down in P10. As I finally get a chance to breathe, not much action happening now at the end of the lap. So yeah, these 3 drivers on the hard tyre will definitely get a chance to go to the end of the race. Obviously Breakfast King will have to stop again. DRS still gets enabled as the leader does cross the line. Lap 3 after the safety car restart. We've had 2 laps to push. He has managed to bridge that 1 second gap back to second, as well as the gap back to third, 2.7 seconds. However, that fight for that final step of the podium is still very tight between the same 3 drivers. As Unknown picks up his 4th penalty, I think that is now. Once again, as I said earlier, I don't blame the drivers for using the track here. It's very difficult to keep the car on the track, especially if you're pushing, as we see a battle between Spicy Llama and Baboon J coming down into turn 5. Racing Point tries to go around the outside, pushed off the track by the Red Bull, and then the Red Bull not leaving any space for him to rejoin, gets pushed into the wall. J gets a penalty, the Red Bull loses his front wing, and that Red Bull loses multiple positions in the process of it. Both Renaults getting past, Chris will now get past, then the Alfa Romeo sweeping around the outside. Spicy Llama then running up from P8 or P9, dropping all the way down to 13th after that incident with Baboon J. So now see former Barland has benefited 2 positions off of that. Was running in 10th, but he goes deep into turn 13 and loses out all the other positions he just gained. That incident doesn't seem to have affected J too much. He has lost a bit of his front ring. Both Renaults now looking very feisty behind him. Racing Point does pull into the pits. The Renault luckily realises that and backs out of the move. 2 possibly very annoyed drivers from that incident that will definitely be reviewed after the race. Battle for 3rd then, as now CS takes the position from the Ferrari driver coming down into turn 2. Haas has dropped back that just a little bit, but it's still within 1 second, so we'll continue to have DRS. The gap between first and second now under half a second. Those 2 clearly gapping the field at an absolute rate of knots. Spicy Llama obviously dropped to the back, as well as Baboon J. Actually, J was on pole at the start, dropped to second, got back up to first after a very good fight with Marine. However, made that mistake, dropped down quite far down the field. Saved by the safety car, and now he's had his 2nd incident of the race, as Crossfire gets another penalty. Battle for the lead, then down into turn 13. 2/10 of a second separate them. Both drivers on the same tyre. If they push too hard, they might not get to the end. But I don't believe tyre degradation is too high around here, so both drivers should be fine, as Marine gets a 3-second time penalty. This wobble between these 2 is allowing CS to catch up just a little bit. He is bringing 3 cars with him as the Racing Point brings the Ferrari of Abood, Tarps is Haas, and Unknown's Alpha Tauri. 2.5 seconds then go back to the Ferrari of Nitrous Davi. Down in P7 as a former Barland pits from, I think, P11. He'll lose out to the Mercedes as Unknown gets a 3-second time penalty. Gap at the front here still very close. CS still gaining on this leading pair. I believe CS was down in P5 at the safety car restart, so he's picked off 2 positions. See, he was helped by Abood getting past the Haas car. So you do see the McLaren dropping all the way to the back of the field. I do think he needed a front wing change, and he would have served one of his penalties. As Nitrous then gets yet another penalty. I don't think you can get disqualified in this from getting track cutting penalties, so the drivers are more than welcome to rack up as many 3-second time penalties as they want. But this race, I don't believe will be decided on track. Although I haven't, maybe this lead battle, maybe. I don't believe we've seen too many penalties for Marine or Pilot. as they slowly start to gap the racing point. Lap 17 of 27 now, 11 laps to go, as Unknown picks up yet another penalty there. We can see top 7 still within 10 seconds of each other. All the way down, the Renaults look to be coming or fighting at some point. They run down through turn 1. Crossfire has a little look to the inside, but thinks better of it. So the fast lap is our leader currently. He will be getting 26 points at the end of this race. And I do believe that will be putting him in the lead of the championship, as our current championship leader is only down in 4th position. These Renaults then definitely pushing each other as hard as they can. The 34 and the 2 car. Battle for the final step on the podium is still quite close. However, the Ferrari is starting to drop back a little bit as the gap does reach 1 second. Battle at the front, however, is still half a second. Both drivers making it through the back straight once more. It looks like Crossfire has dropped back just a little bit from his teammate. Maybe Chris definitely looking to get involved if anything happens between the 2 Renaults. However, has closed up significantly through turns 13 to 16. So you're just using a lot more of the track in that second Renault. You're able to carry a slightly higher speed through the apex of the corner. Won't be too much of a difference. I'll actually go on board here with that second Renault of Crossfire strikes. So his teammate may be holding off a little bit at this point, as he is on that very quickly degrading soft compounder tyre. The medium, although not quite as fast at the start of the stint, will definitely pick up its pace as we go later on, as it will degrade quicker. We have a yellow flag as disqualified. You can receive too many warnings there. Unknown has been disqualified from this race. So there we go. Taking back what I said just a couple of laps ago then. You can get disqualified for cutting too many corners. I'm not sure how many warnings he did receive, in fact how many penalties he received in the end of the battle for the lead. Very close, I believe it was under a tenth of a second as they came in to turn 13. The overcast conditions will definitely be helping tyre wear, as former Barland picks up another penalty. I will be trying to keep track of penalties just a little bit more. Crossfire then gets past his teammate eventually, down into turn 13. Don't believe that would have been orchestrated, but it may well could have been. Then I see Baboon J and Spicy Llama pit for that soft tyre after they're coming together just a couple of laps ago. The Williams then diving right up the inside of the Mercedes into turn 2, forcing Marine just that little bit wide. However, it does look to have got the move around. We'll try and hang it around the outside of turn 3. Mercedes on the inside line, the Williams have the inside to turn 4, but can't quite manage to stick it all the way around the outside. And we'll slot back into second place, about 4-second gap then back to CS in the racing point. Does 1.3 seconds over Aboud, and the Ferrari Breakfast King does finally come into the pits and puts on a second set of soft tyres to go to the end of this race. They will comfortably right now with only 8.5 laps remaining for our leaders. 9 laps, of course, if you're just starting your lap. There's 2 steps. We're actually right on board with the Williams as Aboud gets a 3-second time penalty. The Williams then has plenty of battery to use, goes to what will be the outside for the braking zone. Come back to an exterior. He has managed to pull that move off then. Nice clean racing here there, that's what we'd love to see. Mercedes then dropping back into second place. These two can afford to battle out quite a bit, with that 4-second gap back to P3. Nearly 2 seconds then back to P4. So these podium positions on track looking more and more likely for these 3 drivers, as long as they can all keep it out of the wall. Go on board with the Mercedes, doesn't have much battery to use. will just stay behind into the braking zone of turn 2. See a little bit of a battle then for P4. Their gap still under 1 second, so the Haas driver will have DRS for as long as he can keep that gap. So he is on the harder compound tyre, so he's doing very well just to keep up with the drivers ahead on the medium. The medium will not be running out quite yet as they continue to circulate now onto lap 20. 6 seconds then back to the second Ferrari, then a further 4.5 seconds back to Crossfire in what is now the lead Renault after his move just a lap or so ago on his teammate Breakfast King. Closing in as well on P6. You see Chris there just a second behind him, ahead of Stig, 12 seconds back then in that second Mercedes. Quite a few battles to try and keep up with them. You can see right down towards the back of the field, not quite the back, this is still in the points. Both Stig and Jay fighting it out for what effectively will double their points. Warren with a racing point would look definitely to get the move done here. So they're going for down to the inside for turn 12, giving the racing point the inside line for 13, and I'll make that move stick comfortably on the brakes to try and find a close battle here. Still just about half a second between our leaders. Now 7 laps to go for this Russian Grand Prix here for the JFR second round of season 3. With Sochi Autodrome, mostly the host of the Winter Olympics. As we see towards the back, looks like Jay has gone round again, putting the power down too early on the exit of that final corner. He will lose out to Breakfast King, looks like he's going to get done by Spicy Llama as well. Front wing looks to have broken again, so he has hit the wall. Not quite the result he would have been wanting. Started on pole position, of course. Has broken that front wing once again. Look a little bit further. Chris there just holding on to 1 second behind Crossfire. Tet Arps and Abood still very close on the track. And it's obviously still, as it has been, half a second between Pilot Plane and Marine. It looks like Jay, they're going wide through turn 4 as well. So it does a sensible thing, gets out of the way of former Barland. The racing point has severe lack of grip, or at least downforce due to only having half a front wing as he retires. He does put it into the wall, whether on purpose or not, and the virtual safety car does get deployed. No drivers should be coming into the pit, as it wouldn't make much sense with just 6 laps to go now. Actually, one does. The Alfa Romeo of Chris then may well keep his position to to BLK Stig. He was just running the final corner. It will be very tight between these two drivers. We are still under virtual safety car. We go green, then he'll be able to pick up the pace. Drive for penalty for former Barland in that McLaren. Stig does get the position over Chris as he gets to go up to speed earlier. Battle for the lead, a little bit closer. Looks like Marine might have got a slightly better restart there after the VSC. 5 seconds now back to CS in that racing point, who has gapped Abood by 2.5 seconds in the lead Ferrari. So we do see another time penalty for nitrous in that Ferrari. As it stands, Crossfire may well get a nitrous on track, but by the look of the penalties, he will be dropping behind that Renault indefinitely. So the battle for 4th still as close as ever. So these two were in that battle for P3 earlier on, but have just dropped back, not quite had the pace of CS ahead of them. They're just getting a second virtual safety car in as many laps. The Ferrari then pulling into the pit lane. Very quick thinking there from Abood. Not entirely sure of the reason for this virtual safety car. I don't see any cars that have stopped or in the wall. As Nitrous also pits. He will be held up a little bit here as double stacking in this game is near impossible. So that was very quick thinking from that lead Ferrari. And he gets out of the pit lane before the VSC ends as well. In fact, as the VSC ends, he does get out of the pit, so he will lose very little time. Lost a couple of positions there. I won't face him too much as he is going to be on much fresher tyres for the end of this race. Currently has 9 seconds to gain over Crossfire ahead of him. As the battle for the lead has opened up a little bit, looks like Pilot may have gotten a slightly better restart this time. Both drivers clearly as equal as each other. We can see Chris towards the back of the field as we see another time penalty for Breakfast King. Chris going around the outside of turn 3, looks like the Renault pushing him even wider. Right out onto the marbles. The Renault may hold this. The Alfa Romeo does get the inside but breaks a little bit early. Thinks better of a move up the inside of turn 4. Breakfast King will hold that position. Once again the Renault going a little bit defensive into turn 5 just to make sure Chris doesn't try anything. We'll stay with this battle for now as Spicy Llama gets another 3-second time penalty. And we get a third virtual safety car. Once again, I don't see any cars that have stopped on track, so I don't know what's going on here. Clearly just the lobby isn't wanting to let us race. Yeah, I don't see... This is going to really hamper Abood. No one else deciding to pit this time around then. However, that Ferrari will be needing this virtual safety car to go away as quickly as possible if he wants any hopes of trying to regain a high position. As our second place driver gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under virtual safety car. The Mercedes driver will definitely not be happy with that, as I didn't see a reason for the VSC to come out. And now he's been given a penalty for speeding under it. As former Barland gets another 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. The McLaren driver then, I don't know how he hasn't been disqualified. Obviously we saw Unknown earlier getting disqualified for cutting too many corners. Again, the margins are very tight around here. I do believe the Mercedes will come out in P4. If he chooses to take it this lap, he does come into the pits. So now with just 3 laps to go for this Russian Grand Prix for JFR, it is Pilot Plane's race to lose. See the Mercedes then dropping to 3rd, soon to be dropping to 4th. There it goes, Crossfire coming round the penultimate corner, and now sorry, I need to get out of my system. Marine then just coming out of the pit lane. Now it will be very close between Crossfire and Marine coming down right on board with the Renault as he will be behind. We see Stig getting another 3-second time penalty. Crossfire then coming out quite comfortably behind the Mercedes ahead of him. Now an 8-second gap between first and second, the biggest gap we have seen all race between our 2 leading drivers. Abood though seriously closing down on the Renault with Crossfire, gained 3 seconds in as many laps by the looks of things. We'll need to push just a little bit further. Might not get a podium here, but any points will help at the end of the championship. Don't see too many fights going on as it currently stands. Just to see Breakfast King trying to close up to Chris, both drivers on the soft compounder tyre. Just trying to get to the end at this point, not long left to go. As our leader comes across the line to start the penultimate lap of this Russian Grand Prix. I think this is the least action we have had all race. No one has DRS on the cars ahead of them. The fastest lap has currently retired. The driver who did set the fastest lap earlier on in the race, no longer in the race. As I say that, actually, Aboud sets the fastest lap of the race. P6. Currently for the Ferrari, pushing very hard. Now only 3.2 seconds to the Renault ahead of him. Moraine then 10 seconds behind the podium. Podium hopes left after that most recent VSC. I don't know why the VSC came out, any of the two VSCs to be honest. As I didn't see anything. We can just have a look at the stops. One stop for our top 4. 2 stops for the next 3. 1 stop for Stig there in 8th place, and then 2 stops for the rest of the field. Position changes, crossfire strikes, 10 positions gained. Currently in this race, will definitely be a contender for driver of the day if anything else. 5 positions gained for CS in that racing point. As our leader comes through the penultimate corner, ready to start the final lap of this Russian Grand Prix. Crossfire then catching up to Moraine in P4. Aboud catching even quicker in P6 in his Ferrari. That gap now 7.2 seconds between our leaders. Almost seems as if Pilot has just backed off that little bit. Don't get any more penalties, bring the car home. Should be on for a win. Still very close between 4th, 5th and 6th. Just over a second separates each of the cars. The Ferrari in 6th has the best tyres. Pitting not long ago at all. So you can see they're pitted 3 laps ago. Very quick thinking under one of the virtual safety cars to pull into the pit lane. May have lost 2 positions at the end of this. You see Crossfire, they're cutting the corner. Right on board with the Ferrari briefly, as he will have DRS coming down into the sharp right-hander of turn 13. See that rear wing wide open. Chris also on the back of Stig. Coming down, the Ferrari goes to the outside for turn 13. As our leader has crossed the line, Pilot Plane wins this Russian Grand Prix. As you can see, Aboud, they did get past Crossfire. Crossfire dives it back up the inside, just tags the Ferrari and loses out. As we see, Moraine then P4 could have had the win today, but that I think 3rd VSC cost him quite a few points here. The Ferrari then P5. Crossfire crawls across the line. I think he ran out of fuel at the end then. In P6, another penalty for the McLaren driver. Nitrous comes across the line in P7. Next up we have Stig and Chris, absolutely nose to tail coming across the line then. Nitrous has dropped down to P9 on penalties. Breakfast King in P10 comes across the line. Also beats Nitrous. So we now wait for both Spicy Llama and former Barland to come up to the line. The Red Bull has made it. We just wait for the McLaren now. 2 corners to go. Not the best race here, but he's got to the end of the race. I believe getting 4 positions at the end, and that will be it for round 2 of season 3 of this JFR Championship. Driver of the day, Crossfire strikes. Only 9 positions gained in the end after he got caught at the end, but he has made it to the line. It's going to be a very quick end of race run down here, as I do have to shoot off. You can see Williams from Racing Point from Haas. Very good race action, pretty much from lights to flag. You see our race results then. Top 3, actually no penalties. Very good from the 3 of them. Pilot Plane in the Williams, CS in that Racing Point, and then Tet Arps in the Haas in P3. Marine then P4 after that drive-through penalty, Aboud in P5 ahead of Crossfire Strikes' Renault in P6. Stig in the second Mercedes P7 ahead of its Chris and Breakfast King, just beating Nitrous after those plethora of penalties. P11 for Spicy Llama, and our last finisher of the race, former Barland in that sole McLaren. Baboon J then had a very good start to the race, obviously being on pole position, not quite being able to keep the car facing the right way and ended up retiring ahead of Unknown, and then obviously was disqualified, as well as Flakel Gaming and Luke, who didn't get off the start line. Thank you very much for joining us for this race, much appreciated. We'll be back 5 PM BST next Sunday for round 3. Hope to see you then. Goodbye.